What's good, y'all? It's Icon here. Haha, and we've reached the end. We have reached the end. Arrow, the final season, the final series, the final episode. It's very sad. It's very sad. You know, my fandom, my journey from, as being an Arrow fan started with it. Actually, like I didn't get into Arrow until maybe like until about season, like the mid season finale of season 2, because like I was a huge, like I was always a huge DC fan, and I used to always wish, like I used to watch Justice League, Justice League Unlimited, Superman the animated series, Batman the animated series, and and I always wished that we had like live action, like DC content. But I was a gigantic fan of Young Justice, and like Young Justice had 2 seasons, and then I think in Young Justice's second season, that's when Arrow came out, and like I didn't watch it, like I wasn't really like thinking about it. But then Young Justice got canceled, and when Young Justice got canceled, like I was upset, because I was just like, I was like, I love Young Justice. I was like, it's my show, and they canceled it. I was just like, I quit. Like I quit. Like I gave up on, like superhero television. And then my brother, he kept telling me, he was like, yo, you should check out Arrow. And I was just like, no, it's like DC canceled Young Justice. I'm mad, And then he was just like, yo, you should watch it. You should watch it. And then, like one day I had a free, like a free weekend. I had nothing going on, and then I ended up having he told me, my brother told me, he was just like, oh, he's like, you can catch the first season on Netflix. So I was like, all right, fine, like I'm not doing anything today. I was like, let me watch this Arrow real quick, so I popped it in on Netflix. I sat in my room, like I watched the first episode. Next thing you know, like I'm sitting in the dark, like the sun went down, it's pitch black, and I'm like, I didn't basically like binge the whole damn season 1. And then like after the end, when Tommy died, I was just like I came out of the room and I was like, this show is everything. And then I was telling my other boy H Dot, I was like, yo, you gotta check out this Arrow. I was like, yo, and then he, just like me, he was just like, nah, I ain't gonna fuck with it. And then I was like, nah, you should check it out. And then I guess like one day he checked it out, like he called me, I picked up the phone, I was like, yo, what's good? And he was like, yo, that Arrow is the shit, son. And then it just turned into this whole big thing. And then I mean, and one of the things I loved about it is like the grit, like the like the darkness of it, like the fact that like it hits hard, it had like good action, it was real, like it was real, it was combat, it was something that was missing, because the Marvel, like the Marvel influence had come in, and everybody was onto the whole like colorful, happy, joking, this, that, and the third. And Arrow wasn't like that. Like Arrow was like the dark show, and like I needed that, like, and a lot of us needed that, because like they always said, Arrow was the television Batman that we never got, but we didn't need Batman, because Arrow did more than than hold it down, from the ride of Katie Cassidy, dying on the show and then coming back as Black Siren. And, like a lot of people are just like, they're like, oh, Arrow had its ups and downs. And I'm like, look, like there were no downs for me. I mean, hell, like a lot of people, get mad over the Raja al Ghul thing, and I'm just like, I liked all that, like I liked watching his journey. Like I loved all the characters. There was never a moment where I was just like, Arrow is bad. Like Arrow was never bad to me. Even when they introduced Damien Dark, because Damien Dark was the shit. And, and to see Oliver, like take on someone that wasn't like a grounded villain, was cool as hell. Malcolm Merlin will always be, like he'll always be the number one villain because he was the number one villain. I mean, Slade Wilson, like my favorite villain probably is Slade. Like it's Slade, Prometheus, and then I would have to say I actually liked Emiko. Like I was a fan of Emiko, but a lot of people pick Prometheus, and I understand why too, because Prometheus, like he was the one villain who won, like he made Oliver quit, being the Green Arrow. Like he made Oliver shut it down. He made Oliver, like admit his deepest, darkest secrets. And then after he defeated Oliver, he took the handcuffs off and let Oliver walk home in his own shame, to the point where he was like, Diggle, I'll never do this again. So and then he won, because he blew up the island was such a strong part of the show for 5 years, and then like Chase blew it up. So I'm like, Chase won, like he's but the thing with Slade is like I like Slade better because his arc started with him being a good guy. Like Slade started in season 1, and you watch Slade and Oliver be friends in season 1. So then when season 2 comes and you see the betrayal and like how Slade turned, it was just like as a viewer, it touched you more because you remembered when these two were friends, and to see them go from friends to rivals over a 2-year span, was more than, to me it was worth more than what Adrian Chase put in. And I like the dragon too. Like I like the dragon too because like he was a tough son of a bitch. Like I said, I liked Emiko. Like a lot of people were down on Emiko, but I was a huge fan of Emiko. So yeah, like I said, I mean, to be honest, like I started, my YouTube channel probably about 2 years ago, and then I didn't really start getting like into it until like this year, when I did the rebranding with the graphics and then posting, I started doing superhero recaps like when I first started the channel, and then DC and WWE blocked me, and I never knew why they blocked me. I don't know, maybe it's because like I showed too much, or like I don't remember why I got blocked, but like I did like 1 or 2 like episodes of like DC recaps, and then like I quit for a while, and then I just but then when they announced that Arrow was going to be in the final season, I was just like, nah, like I gotta find a way. I was like, even if I get blocked, I gotta find a way to pay tribute to Arrow one last time. And I was like, and it's only for 10 episodes. But then I was just like, I haven't done reviews for TV shows before, so I got my feet wet doing Titans. I started doing the Titans reviews, like this year for season 2, and then doing the Titan stuff got me into the flow, got me into the rhythm of how I wanted to do my recaps, and then things just took off from there. And now that I finally got a chance to review my favorite TV show, because it's Arrow over everything, I've said that since day one, like Arrow over everything, Black Lightning #2, but now that I finally got a chance to to review my favorite show, the show is over. But I'm definitely glad that I was able to take the ride, and I loved every minute of it. So let's get right into it and, talk about the final episode. So the episode starts, because again, like Oliver rebooted the universe, and through his rebooting of the universe, there were immediate changes into the entire timeline. The first change is that they take you back to season 2 with Slade Wilson, and they show you the scene where Oliver, Thea, Moira, and Slade were all in the forest, and then he was just like, you didn't have courage. He told Myra, he was like, you have courage, but you didn't pass that on to your son. And then he went to like stab Myra in the chest, only this time, because Oliver had his hands tied behind his back and he couldn't do anything about it. But this time, in the new timeline, Oliver got a do-over. He had a pocket knife in his jacket, which he used to cut the rope. He tackled Slade, beat his ass, and his mom didn't die. Now, the funny thing is, when he beat Slade in the forest, did he lock him up? Like, was that it for Slade Wilson? Did did the events of season 2 play out the way that they normally did? Like we never found out, there's a lot of like unanswered things about how, like, because of certain things Oliver fixed, we don't know how certain events actually took place. Like, did they change or did they stay the same? But yeah, but then it starts with like Myra, she's doing the documentary, because remember like last season, I think they were doing the documentary on Oliver Queen. and the documentary's still going on, but this time like his mom's alive to to actually tell, to give her thoughts on the on the entire situation. And she knows, and she's aware of the multiverse. Like apparently like everyone's aware of the multiverse. Like his mom knows exactly about the multiverse and his sacrifice. Thea knows about the sacrifice. Like everyone at his funeral knew about the sacrifice. And that was a little weird. Like that was just a tad a tad bit creepy. We then go to the future where Mia is like, she's still sleeping in the Queen Mansion. And I guess, well, now I know how the Queen Mansion still exists, because when I watched Green Arrow and the Canaries, I was just like, why is the Queen Mansion still here? Like I thought they was broke. But then now that obviously that Moira is still alive, she kept the Queen Consolidated thing going. And the family obviously grew up in the mansion. Thea grew up in the mansion, and then Mia and William, most likely grew up in the mansion as well, which is why like it's still standing. Which also has season 3 effects, because Ray Palmer was supposed to purchase Queen Consolidated, and if the Queen Consolidated purchase never happens and Queen Consolidated still exists and they still get to keep, like the house and all their money, then I'm just like, how did that whole situation with Ray turn out? But you don't want to overthink it. So so anyway, so they're gathering everybody together because like Oliver's funeral's coming. Sarah picks up Mia, and then she's just like, I'm here to take you to your father's funeral. Time travel, bitches. Everyone's at the bunker talking about what they're going to do regarding the funeral. And obviously they're drinking, they're remembering Oliver, but Laurel was taking it like a little hard, and like more so than you. But then it's like she's Laurel, so like she's Black Siren, so her being kind of like moody and drinking all the time, I'm like, well, that goes right down. That's perfectly, that's the Black Siren that we know. So it's like it's like you knew she was acting weird, but it wasn't out of the realm of her character. So but then, she got mad and like walked away. Like Diggle was doing the salmon ladder, like, which was cool. They were doing the Mark of Four. Dinah and Roy, they were putting like he was doing the Mark of Four tattoo, so the Mark of Four still existed. And I noticed that Roy still has the metal arm, which is funny because in the original timeline, Connor was the one who chopped his arm off, and none of them remember that anymore. Like history has been changed, like the world has been, the multiverse has been changed. And if everything's been changed, then that means like the kids never went back in time. That means Connor never chopped off Roy's arm. So now I'm like, how did Roy lose his arm? Like did those same events take place? Like I need an explanation for that. Like how Roy lost his arm. But say la vie, say la vie. So so then so then like Laurel goes to Nance because Captain Lance is alive. Captain Lance never died, and he's still there. And then Laurel was just name dropping. She was just like, Oliver's sacrifice brought a lot of people back from the dead. She was like, Myra, I believe William's mom is still alive. She was like, Tommy, and then she said Tommy. I was like, they brought back Tommy. Like Tommy was still there. And she was like, everybody, Anatoly's like alive or whatever. She's like, everybody survived except for like, Earth One Laurel. And then she was just like, Oliver fixed everything, and why didn't he fix that? Like, why didn't he fix me? And then Lance told her, he was just like, because there's nothing about you or my Laurel that needed to be fixed, because their situations, like Laurel did what she had to do, and I guess Oliver felt that they were better off having Black Siren around. Like that was something that he wanted to keep, and he didn't want to dishonor I guess that legacy. And also Oliver was very cautious to not change things that prevented him from becoming the hero that he became. Like that's why his dad still died. Like his dad had to die in order for him to become, the Green Arrow. Yao Fei still had to die because Yao Fei taught him, like unfortunately Shadow still had to die. Like all these characters, like there are certain people that needed to die because they directly affected Oliver turning himself into the Green Arrow. So those were the people that had to stay. They did a flashback. They took us to a flashback that goes back to season 1. It was like a scene that we never saw in season 1 where where Oliver ended up having a conversation with with Diggle. This is when they first started doing the whole crime fighter thing, and Diggle was just like, I don't want to see you lose yourself, man. And then, Oliver was just like, people have to die, Diggle, because they're on the list. And he was like, but the list doesn't mean you got to kill them, find a better way. And then there was this one dude, he was like human trafficking. And then Oliver went to, in a very badass fight scene, like the fight scene, when Oliver went after this dude who was human trafficking, the fight scene that these two had, it reminded me of the fight scene in Batman versus Superman when he went to go save Martha, when he jumped into the warehouse and he was whooping everybody's ass, because that was some badass shit. And then Oliver got on the roof, he found the guy who was doing the trafficking, and then he was like, are you gonna kill me? And then then Oliver, like, he felt bad, and then like he listened to what Diggle said, so instead of killing him, he basically put him in prison. And then he went back to Diggle, and he was just like, I didn't kill him, like I put him in jail. And he was just like, if you improve your skills, Diggle, maybe I'll take you out in the field and I'll start to trust you, which was a cool moment by the two of them. Originally, Mark Guggenheim said that he originally wanted to have a scene where it was Diggle and Felicity, with Oliver, but they couldn't get Emily for a third day, so they just went with an Oliver Diggle thing instead, which is fine because Oliver and Diggle is what started the show, so definitely nothing wrong with that. So now that Mia's back into the fold, she's in the present, she's looking up the computer because she's trying to find out information about certain things, because remember, on her show, on Green Arrow and the Canaries, at the end of the episode, William got captured, and then her whole thing is like, oh, I couldn't save my brother, and then my dad, he passed me the mantle to protect the city and to protect my family, and I can't protect my family. Then Dinah was like, no, your father would be proud, and then she was just like, I'm a loser, whatever. And then like a news report goes off. Come to find out, William's been kidnapped. like young William's been kidnapped. So for Mia, this is like her way of getting to redeem herself, because she couldn't save old William, so she's like, well, here's my chance to save young William. So then, because William got captured, and it's like Oliver's kid, and this is all about celebrating Oliver, they bring back literally like the entire Team Arrow, like everybody who's ever been a part of Team Arrow, minus Evelyn Sharp. And it was actually kind of sad that Evelyn Sharp wasn't there, because it would have, because I guess she died on the island. Like, I understand she betrayed them or whatever, but when we last saw Evelyn Sharp, she was in a cage, and when she was still in the cage when Chase blew up the island, and the only reference that we got to her was Slade had said, somebody was like, oh, where's Nissa Al Ghul? And then Slade was like, she went to go look for the girl who was trapped in the cage, kid. But then that was it. Like, they just said that she was on her way to go look for Evelyn. We never saw Evelyn again, and we never saw Nissa again. So for all we know, like, Evelyn was still alive, and Nissa took her back to like Nanda Parbat, and like she works for like Nissa now. Like, that actually would have been cool, like if Nissa became a villain again, and then she ended up training like Evelyn to be like her protege. But yeah, never heard of the girl from again, so it is what it is. But like Rory came back, Ragman was back, Dinah was there, Renee was there, Thea was there, what's his full name? Roy was there, Diggle was there, Lila was there, Black Siren was there, Felicity showed up. Felicity came out of nowhere, and she was like, oh my god, there's so many people here, but they couldn't like embrace her, like that, because there's like a tragedy going on here. But it was cool to see Felicity. Curtis was there. I forgot about Curtis didn't say anything. Curtis barely said it. I think Curtis had like one line in the entire episode, but it was cool to see Curtis there as well, and then when Felicity came into the bunker and she saw the entire cast of Arrow, she actually walked right by Mia, and Mia was just like, oh my god, that's my mom. And Felicity, and it was weird because at that point Felicity had no idea who Mia was. She walked right past her. I know she saw her sitting there on the guardrail, and not once did she even be like, yo, who's this blonde girl that's in that's sitting in the bunker, because that would be the one person in the room that Felicity didn't recognize. So I was like, whatever, they didn't get to that. So Felicity does what she does. She ends up tracking William's like phone. She actually said she put a tracker in William, which was funny. And she's like, she just put her daughter to bed or whatever. And then she was like, how there are multiple locations where William could be. So the entire team, they're like, all right, we're going to split up. We're going to check out all the different locations, and then we're going to try to find William. We did not see Curtis in the Mr. Terrific suit, which was sad. I would have liked to have seen, because they showed Ragman and Renee together. They showed Diggle and Lila together. They showed Thea and Roy together. Like, we didn't get to see Ragman. I mean, not Ragman. We didn't get to see Curtis with Dinah in the suit. So that was a little bit of a letdown. But even if it was just them jumping off of a roof, that would have been cool to see. But but Roy and Thea, like, Roy actually tried to apologize to Thea because they still kept with the storyline that the two of them, I guess, were trying to blow up Lazarus pits together, and then Roy just kind of like freaked out and they left her. Because in episode 3, I believe, of season 8, when Oliver went to go find Thea and Oliver was talking to Thea, she was like, I woke up one day and like Roy was just gone, but she was like, I get it, he's going through like the Mirakuru and the bloodlust, and he has his own thing he has to take care of. So, she was cool about it, but then like she was mad at him because he tried to apologize, and she was like, like, she's like, my brother's dead and my nephew's missing. She was like, this is the worst time for an apology. But then when they were on the roof together, he apologized again, and then he was just like, look, he was like, I thought a lot about it, and then he was like, I want you to marry me, and then she's like, oh my god, and I'm just and everybody's like, meanwhile, William's still missing, and then so it ended up being Mia, rightfully so, it ended up being Mia who found William. She found the guy who kidnapped William. It was the same kid who's been playing William. The dude had him in the chokehold, and then we found out that the dude who kidnapped William was the same person that Oliver put in jail in the flashback. And he told, the guy told him, he told me, he was just like, you're walking around wearing his hood or whatever. And then she was just like, Oliver Queen spared your life. And then he was like, no, he ruined my life, because his whole thing was Oliver should have killed me, but instead he put me in jail. And being in jail for 8 years was the worst experience of my life. But I'm like, bro, like, at least you had a life. So he was basically bitter over the fact that Oliver put him in jail. And then he was like, so I'm going to take his son and I'm going to throw his son off the roof. And then I thought about it. I was like, well, if that was the case, if your whole thing was striking revenge on Oliver's son, you could have killed William like 6-7 hours ago. But he wanted to throw him off the exact same. See, this is the problem with villains. Like, they overthink this shit too much. He wanted to throw William off the exact same roof that Oliver captured him on, because I guess that would have meant something to him. But, instead, me ended up taking him down. And then, because the guy was just like, she was like, I should put an arrow through you right now. And he was like, dude, this guy wanted to die. Like, he actually wanted to die. And then, he was like, do it. And then she was like, no, because if Oliver Queen didn't kill you, she's like, I'm not going to kill you. But she's like, but she's like, I'm sending your bitch ass back to prison, which is the one place where he actually didn't want to be. So I actually thought that was better. So, so dude's back in jail, William's safe. Everybody's back at the bunker. The news report comes on. They're just like, oh, there's a new Green Arrow in town. So apparently Oliver Queen's sacrifice inspired a new generation of people, new generation of heroes, and, the Dinah was like, yes, your father would be proud. Like I said, proud, because you're the one that's carrying the torch. So Mia started to feel a little bit better, because now she has like the confidence, because she saved William. So now she has the confidence that maybe she can do this Green Arrow thing, so the only thing left to do now is like, William's safe. So now we just have to have Oliver's funeral. So before the funeral, they actually had a memorial service for Oliver, and it was led by Quentin Lance, who, like, everybody and their mama showed up, and they all had candles and everything. And then we saw Tommy, like y'all understand, like, I was mad when Tommy died. Because Tommy died trying to save Laurel's ungrateful ass, and I was just like, that was like one death where I was just like, but Tommy was there. Like, everybody, pretty much everybody was there. And then, Quentin said, he's like, for years, he's like, I chased Oliver Queen, but he was like, I couldn't have been more wrong. He was like, Oliver, in the end, like, Oliver saved the city. They were like, crime in Star City has tremendously gone down. Star City was basically considered like one of the safest places in the world. And, it took him 8 years, but he fulfilled his mission. Like, Oliver saved the city. He saved the city from crime. Shit, he saved the world. He saved the universe. He saved the multiverse. And they unveiled his statue. They unveiled a statue of him that will forever, be in Star City. And it was the same statue that William got jacked in front of in Green Arrow and the Canaries. So that was awesome to see. So then we ended up going to his funeral. Thea, Myra, they were talking, and then, she was just like, how come Ollie couldn't save Dad? And then that's when she told him, she was like, maybe he just had this, he couldn't save the people who prevented him from becoming the person who he was. And then my second favorite moment of this entire episode happened, which was Emiko. She came up to them She saw Myra, she saw Thea, and then she was just like, "Hi, man, like I'm Emiko." Thea was like, "Yeah, you're my sister." And technically, like they're not, but she was like, because she's like, she's Robert's kid, and she's like, Thea's Malcolm's kid, but she's like, but you're my sister. She's like, you're my sister, and then she was just like, it sucks that this is how we got to know each other, but. She was just like, yeah, she was just like, I'm looking forward to, getting to know you. And then Myra even said, she was like, Emiko, she was like, you're welcome at the house, like anytime. And that actually, like, I teared up a little bit when I saw that, because Emiko got a bad rap. And Emiko's biggest thing, like she was shunned by her dad, like it wasn't her fault. And she said before she died, she was like, I just wanted to be a queen. And she always wanted to be a queen. And she got her wish. Like, she was accepted by her brother. She was accepted. The fact that she was accepted by well, first of all, Myra can't be no hypocrite, because Thea belonged to Malcolm, so she brought her in. So hopefully Thea and Emiko and even Myra end up becoming, like good friends, and, end up becoming a family. We then saw Tommy and Laurel, who, who apparently Earth One Laurel and Tommy actually got married, because in season one, Earth One Laurel and Tommy were dating. Well, actually, they were just like friends with benefits, and they dated a little bit. But then when Oliver came back, like Laurel jumped back into Oliver's bed, and then Tommy was the odd man out. But Oliver fixed that. In the original timeline, they were married. They actually got married. But then she died, obviously being the Black Canary. And then, Earth 2 Laurel, she was like, so it must be weird seeing me. And then he was like, a little, but he was like, I just found out that I was dead and I came back. I'm like, who told him about the multiverse? And, so he ended up, like he ended up, the two of them basically like shared a moment, and then he was like, having you around is actually pretty delightful. So who knows, maybe the two of them had sex after the funeral. If we find out that Tommy and Laurel eventually ended up getting together and had a kid, which pops up on Mia's show, that would be cool as well. We saw the Al Ghul sisters, like the Al Ghul sisters popped up, and she was just like, like Talia was like, I'm sorry for your husband, and then she was like, I had no feelings for him, I'm lesbian. She was like, that was our father's sick way of not accepting me for who I am. And then Laurel, and then not Laurel, and then the girl from Legend of Tomorrow, Sarah showed up, and then she was just like, this is my true beloved. And then so that was cool. It was cool to see the Al Ghul sisters, because I wanted some redemption for both of them as well, because they fought the whole time. So to see them back was actually pretty cool, and then and then Mia ends up going up to Felicity, because Sarah had said to Felicity earlier, she was like, do you want to meet your daughter? And then she was like, no. She's like, I just put my daughter to sleep. And she was like, if I meet her as an adult, she was like, I don't know. She's like, I don't know if I want to rush the process of seeing her grow up. But then Mia rolled up on her at the funeral, and then she was like, I know who you are. And then she gave her a hug, and then she was just like, Dad trained me. And she was like, oh my God, you met your father. And then never explained how. She was just like, yeah, Dad trained me. She's like, you're a lot like him, I can tell. And then she's like, I hope so. And that was dope. Like, to see the two, they hugged, and then Barry showed up. He gave her a hug, and he was like, I could have did more. And then she was like, you did everything you could, Barry. I know who you are. I felt bad for Barry, because that was like his mentor. And then Kara showed up, and I was just like, the Trinity. Like Oliver, Barry, and Kara were like the television CW Trinity. So to see Kara at the funeral, like see Kara and Barry at the funeral, like that was sad as well. So that was it was touching. It was very, very, the whole situation was very touching. And then they're all standing in front of his tombstone, like somebody should speak. Nobody wanted to say anything, not even his own mama wanted to say something. And then Diggle ended up being the one to say something. And this was when it got real, and this was like the coolest part of the entire episode, because Curtis was still there, like everybody was there, like, and like an entire 8-year cast of characters was standing at this man's. I'm surprised Slade wasn't there, but Manu Bennett did show up to do that scene in the beginning where Oliver saved his mom. So Diggle basically gave his speech. He was just telling everybody, like, look, like Oliver gave us a gift. Let's not mess it up. We don't know what the future will hold. Like Oliver started off being a killer, and now like he was a better man, and he was a father, a brother, a husband, like all of the above. And then they start going through the montage of like what everybody's doing. Obviously, Thea and Roy got married. They show Renee. He's running for mayor. He's running for mayor. Dinah dipped because Lance had offered Dinah the position of chief of police, and Dinah had said, she was like, look, I'm not going to take the job because she was like, it doesn't make sense to be the chief of police of a safe city. And she's like, there are other cities out there that actually like, that actually need us, that, so she's going to go to a different city. Renee, and then Diggle said, he was like, yeah, he was like, my family and I were moving to Metropolis. He's taking it, like Lila took a job in Metropolis, and I was like, huh. So that was nice. So Dinah dipped, and remember, in Mia dipped, like after the funeral, Mia now has the courage and the heart now to take on her father's mantle. So she ended up time portaling herself back into her own time, and now she's ready to kick some ass. And then it happened. Then Diggle, his family's packing up. They're getting ready to move, to to Metropolis. Lila and the kids leave, and then when Diggle's about to pack up the truck, a spaceship crash landed, knocked Diggle 50 feet back, and I was just like, don't kill him. I was like, at first, don't kill him. But when I saw the spaceship coming, I was like, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Then he gets up, he walks over to like where the smoke is, whatever, where the smoke and everything is. He slowly like, and I'm just like, do it, because I was getting like really excited. I was like, because the whole scene, like if you've been listening to me talking, I just want this dude to get the ring. So he goes to the hole in the ground, like he kneels down, and it wasn't like some alien inside of a ship. It was a box. It was a little black box. He picks up the little black box, and then he opens the box. And as soon as he opened the box and that green light came out, I got off of the couch and like did a private dance, because I was like, they finally gave my man the ring, and I was like, this is the greatest moment in Arrow in Arrow history. The fact that Diggle got the ring. They have teased him getting this ring like for like 6-7 seasons now, between like his daddy, the damn wedding, and I was but to see him finally get it. Because the two biggest teases that Arrow has done was John getting the ring and the Blue Beetle, because they bring up Cord Industries every other episode, and we ain't never seen no Blue Beetle. So to see Diggle get the ring, I was like, the credits can roll right now. The credits can roll right now, and I'm good money. But that was that was nice to see. And but the funny thing about Dinah Drake, she said that after Oliver's funeral, she left Star City, and then the next day she woke up and she was in the future. So I need to see what happened to her, because we saw Dinah driving off, leaving Star City on her motorcycle. And like I said, I want to know what's going to happen. I want to know how she ended up getting to the future, because she even said that like Sarah tried to bring her back a bunch of times and she was like, nah. So, so after that, after Diggle's speech, then they take us to the season finale of last season, when Felicity was talking to the monitor. And then he was just like, where I'm going to take you, there's no coming back. And then she was just like, that's okay, because I haven't seen him. She's like, I can't wait to see him. So they show you what happens. So Felicity goes into the portal, and then she ends up in Queen Consolidated in Oliver's mom's office. Now, Oliver was there. Oliver saw her. He was just like, took you long enough to get here. And she referred to it as the afterlife. Felicity specifically said, I thought the afterlife wouldn't look so much like your old office. And then he was like, it's my mom's office. So she used the word afterlife, but Oliver's still a Spectre. Like he's still a Spectre. So if Oliver's a Spectre, either they're in the Spectre realm where he has Spectre powers, or they're both dead, and she basically committed suicide and, had the monitor take her to the afterlife, and they're both in heaven, like Oliver's version of heaven. So who knows? But if they want both, but if there's a chance where both characters will eventually make a special appearance somewhere in the Arrowverse, then it's not going to be the afterlife. It's going to be the Spectre world. Felicity was just like, he was like, I wanted to bring you back to the moment where I first saw you. And then she was like, oh, but that would be 7 flights down when you came to visit. And he was like, no, because they showed the clip in season 3 where he ended up going back to Star City. And then she went into the office and saw his photo. And then he looked at her for the very first time. So that was the first time. That may have been the first time she saw him, but that wasn't the first time he saw her. When they were at the when they were in the IT department, then he was just like, now that we're both here and we're together, he was like, we have all the time in the world for me to tell you, everything that happened. I thought he was, I mean, we did get a "you have failed this city" because he did say it to the guy on the roof, but I thought it was gonna end with somebody actually saying the words like "you have saved this city." I thought Oliver was gonna say to Felicity like, how's everything on the outside, before you left, and then I thought she was gonna look at him and be like, "You saved the city" or whatever. So that would have been cool, but say la vie. Yeah, so that was it, and that's how the episode ended, and it was very sad. Like I said, I teared up a little bit because like I said, Arrow was my show. Like Arrow was definitely like my favorite. Arrow was my favorite show on television, and I love Black Light. I love Black Lightning, but it was Arrow over everything. And considering that I didn't even want to give it a shot in the beginning, that I ended up falling in love with the show, is pretty crazy. So yeah, so that's it. I mean, like I said, who knows if the door's open for Stephen to come back? I mean, he does have a seat at the Hall of Justice. But, but if Stephen Amell wants to make a special guest, I mean, there are ways he can come back. They can do time travel. They can go back to old seasons of Arrow and pluck him at a time to help them with something in the future. It could turn out that he could actually still be a Spectre, and as a Spectre, he can pop up whenever he wants, to help people out. So I don't think everyone's like done. I'm pretty sure, I guarantee you, before the Arrowverse is completely done and over with, we'll get a Stephen Amell Oliver Queen cameo one more time. So, and then even with Diggle, now, he's he's got the ring, and he's on his way to Metropolis, and they have the new Superman series that's supposed to start next season. And if Superman's in Metropolis and Diggle's in Metropolis and Diggle has a ring, I mean, that's a no-brainer. That's a layup. So I expect to see Diggle in full form. Hell, I expect to see in next year's crossover, I expect to see Diggle with the ring on his finger in the Green Lantern costume, sitting in Oliver's chair at the Hall of Justice. That's my prediction for next year's crossover. Yeah, next year's crossover. So that was it. Like I said, that was it. Like I said, it's I mean, I feel like it's over for me, but it's like I'll be back. Like I'm still reviewing, other shows like Supergirl and everything. So I mean, like I'm not done, but Arrow's done. And for the cast, for the writers, the crew, the stunt trainers, Stephen Amell, Katie Cassidy, Emily Bett Rickards, David Ramsey, Colin O'Donnell, like Willa Holland, the actor who plays Roy Harper, his name escapes me at the moment. I said Curtis, like everybody, I follow a lot of them on Instagram, on Instagram and Twitter. Like, no, I just want to say thank you. Like for me, I just want to say thank you because like Arrow, as far as like television is concerned, like Arrow gave me, like eight awesome years, ways to connect with like family, like friends, like I ended up getting the first 2 seasons of Arrow, as a Christmas gift, and I watched it, with a really special person, and Arrow gave me a lot, like it meant a lot to me. But it's not over because Arrow will continue on, not only through the Arrowverse, but it will continue with Mia, and we'll get to see all the other characters, hopefully pop up on Green Arrow and the Canaries. It's just sad that the one person who the show was about is the only one that don't got a job. But Stephen Amell is an awesome actor, and he has a Netflix. I believe he has a Starz series coming up about him, him and his brother fighting over, a wrestling company. So I'll definitely check that out just to see what he's up to, like post Arrow. But but that was it. To everybody that watched my 10 episodes of Arrow reviews, like thank you for taking the journey with me along, with the rest of the Arrowverse. Arrow is gone, never, definitely never will be forgotten. It'll live on in our hearts, and my heart especially. So for the final time for Green Arrow and the entire cast, until next time, for the Icon Red Eyes Entertainment, I'll see you guys again. Leave a comment, like, and or subscribe. And as always, I'm out this bitch.